Great to have you with us. In our first story, a senior military officer, Colonel Samuel Kojo Gameli and Gershon Akpa, a civilian employee of the Ghana Armed Forces, have been charged for their role in an elaborate plot targeted at the presidency. The two were today charged with possession of explosives, arms and ammunition without lawful excuse. Government, in a statement released on Monday, said a joint security operation on Friday led to the retrieval of several arms, explosive devices and ammunition from locations in Accra and Pongmaleshi in Dodowa. State prosecutors on Tuesday pressed similar charges against Dr. Frederick Yaumakpalm, Donya Ezo Kafui, a local weapon manufacturer, and Bright Alan Deborah Ofosu, aka BB or ADC, who's a freight manager. State prosecutor ASP Asari today informed the Kaneshie District Court the 7 soldiers were members of Take Action Group Ghana, a group led by Dr. Makpalm. He said they intended to engage in a series of demonstrations geared at toppling the government. He revealed they have since secured the services of one other person already in custody to produce explosives and guns for the operation at the Citadel Hospital. Payments amounting to 2,300 according to the prosecution were made for the 6 pistols, while 400 cedis have since been paid for some explosives. ASP Asari asked that the court remands them into BNI custody as investigations were still ongoing. This was granted by Magistrate Rosemont Dodua Ajari as she adjourned the case to October 9. Correspondent Joseph Akable will join us later with more. We'll come back to that story, but still on the issue of security, government has urged personnel of the Ghana Army to exhibit precision and speed during their intelligence gathering process to effectively neutralize threats posed by terror groups. With Ghana's neighbors currently battling with threats by terrorist groups and with those threats moving closer to the country, the Vice President assured personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces of government's commitment to providing the needed logistics to eliminate those threats. Dr. Baumia said this at the 2019 edition of the Ghana Army Week celebration at the Ghana Military Academy Friday morning. Latif Idris joins us on the line with more. Latif, tell us about the Ghana Army Week celebration and what the Vice President has been saying.
Yeah, so Daniel, the week celebration is part of the activities of the Ghana Army, which is marked every single year. Today, or this year's celebration is no different than the reviewing officer today happens to be the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Baumia. Now, he made a lot of call onto the officers and personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces. Key among them is the fact that terrorist groups and extremist groups have now changed their ways of undertaking their nefarious activities. So the call the Vice President made to the personnel of the Ghana Army is to change their ways, because these terror groups have become dynamic. They change how they undertake their activities day in, day out. And you expect our own Ghana Armed Forces to also be up and doing so they are able to neutralize and eliminate some of these threats that are posed by the terror groups. We know what is happening up in Burkina Faso. They've had series of terrorist groups attacking them. And this is not far from Ghana. Reason why government is concerned, and the Vice President has made a huge commitment that government would always come in to supply and provide the needed logistics that the military require to undertake their operations. As we speak, Daniel, the Vice President is also cutting the sword for the construction of a military complex, which is expected, once it is completed, to house all the staff of the Ghana Army who are based at the headquarters here in Burma camp. So these are some of the interventions. The Vice President also talked about other logistics that government is ready and will provide when the need arises, Daniel.
Thank you, Latif. Still on security. As government investigates 3 persons being held for crimes including unlawful possession and manufacture of explosives, details are emerging as to how the team was close to executing their alleged plan against the presidency. Although officials say they were plotting an elaborate attack on the presidency, they have yet to be charged with treason, as government alleges. In this Security Desk report, Gifty Anuapia chronicles information available to us by our sources within the security agencies.
As it stands, Dr. Frederick McPalm, along with 2 others, have been charged with 5 counts of conspiracy to commit crime, namely manufacture of arms and ammunition without lawful authority, possession of explosives and firearms without lawful authority, manufacture of firearms without lawful authority, and manufacture of explosives and ammunition without lawful authority. As the investigations continue, JoyNews has gathered inside information from sources within the security agencies. What we know so far indicates the doctor and a ring of people allegedly contacted the staff at the ammunition depot seeking 10 AK-47 guns at a fee, 7,000 cedis, of which was part payment made. They subsequently demanded a refund, a move our sources believe was either because the requested ammunition could not be secured as scheduled or because they got the ammunition they wanted elsewhere. Empty magazines were allegedly found and retrieved at the premises of Citadel Hospital. Investigative assumptions by security agencies looking into the matter are that some of the guns may be hidden. They hope to unravel this as the investigations unfold. Government statement refers to a group formed by the alleged coup plotters called Take Action Ghana. Our security sources say it is a cross-sector group consisting of student, market women, taxi drivers, people in academia, police officers, ex-servicemen, as well as active military officers, some of whom have already been picked up. They add these groups were being psyched to take action at an appointed time in various parts of the country as part of the alleged plan to destabilize it. It is unclear the specific number of active servicemen allegedly involved, but at least 12 officers have been implicated, although some were also used as informants to infiltrate several meetings which government says were held by the arrested doctor and those he recruited. There is also an alleged possibility he may have recruited others who are off the radar at the moment. We know a stop list has been issued the Ghana Immigration Service already to make sure that those connected to the matter do not leave the country as investigations continue. Our sources corroborate government claims. Recorded audio and video evidence exists as proof of government's allegation, and that enough evidence was gathered as far back as July last year, but arrests were not made to allow for further surveillance on those involved. They also tell us the pictures being circulated, some of which are being used cynically and jokingly on social media, are about 1% of the story, which is why government insists this is not a hoax. Several questions have popped up as to why the 3 arrested were not charged with treason. The sources say the decision was taken on the basis of the need to build a strong case for court vis-a-vis the constitutional requirement not to keep them in custody for more than 48 hours. This, we're told, informed the current charges, which are equally grave offences. The sale and purchase of the chemicals referred to by government's initial statement are being seriously investigated, as 22 improvised explosive devices picked up from Dr. McPalm's premises are also being tested to establish the component and the extent of damage they were built to cause. Again, our sources within the security services say an initial profile of Dr. McPalm shows he may hold radical thoughts against political systems and corruption and sought to spread same across his recruit. Investigations should ascertain how he was trained himself to, as alleged by government, build the 22 IEDs. Devices and other ammunitions allegedly found in his possession, plus his ability to recruit several civilians and active military officers to execute the alleged plans, present a dangerous person. In the end, our sources indicate the team whose leaders have now been arrested were close to the tail end of the alleged operation, hence the arrest, and that the worst could have happened if those arrests were not made. Investigations are, however, ongoing into the charges on unlawful possession and manufacture of arms, but government has indicated treason charges are imminent.
Let's go to correspondent Joseph Vakye, who joins us live via phone. Joseph, what more do we know about the charging of these 2, this official and this employee of the armed forces?
So, Daniel, according to the state prosecutor, ASP Asari, the 2 individuals are members of Take Action Ghana. That is a group that is led by Dr. McPalm, the medical practitioner who was charged on Tuesday with a similar offense. He said that they intended to engage in a series of demonstrations geared at toppling the government. He revealed that they have since secured the services of one other person who is already in custody to produce explosives and guns for the operation. We understand that this production was taking place at the Citadel Hospital. payments amounting to 2,300 cedis each for each pistol were made. We are told that 6 of the pistols have been produced so far. The producer charged them 400 cedis for each explosive, and those 2 payments were also made for a number of explosives. And he asked that because investigations are still at the initial stages, these individuals be remanded into the custody of the BNI to reappear later for the trial to continue.
Did he say who paid the monies and to whom?
These were monies that we understand were paid by Dr. McPalm together with these individuals who were all part of the plot. And
he has evidence to show that monies left Dr. McPalm's account or whichever other place receipts were issued for these guns?
Those are matters that the state prosecutors say in the course of the trial they intend to provide proof for.
Tell us about the demeanor of these 2 persons who are being charged. Dr. McPalm shouted that he was framed. Did these people give any indication as to whether they were innocent or guilty?
Not at all. Unlike what happened on Tuesday, for this particular day, the 2 individuals were calm all throughout. In fact, a bit of another point worth making is that they didn't have legal representation as well. You recall that Dr. McPalm and the 2 others had Victor Daudu as their counsel. He represented them, he spoke, made an application for bail, and again spoke to the press afterwards. For these 2 individuals, they didn't have a lawyer representing them. They sat in the court calmly until they were called and responded to their names, and right after proceedings, they left the court without asking anything to those who had gathered to witness proceedings.
Joseph, thank you very much. Victor Kojo Adaudu has joined us on the line now. Mr. Adaudu, we understand you are representing these suspects as well. Is that correct?
Yes, Daniel, that's correct, that I'm presenting the senior army officer, Colonel Gameli.
Are you representing Gershon Akpa as well?
Hello?
Are you representing Gershon Akpa as well?
No, I've not been contacted and engaged for him.
Now, the senior officer Gameli appeared in court alone. Why?
Because we were not informed. I was at BNI custody as late as 5:30 yesterday and had conference with them. And nobody informed me. And I had to go about my duty only to be out of Accra. And around this 11, I was called that they are in court waiting for me. Nobody had informed me. And my other lawyers, the team, others are gone to Keta. One is on the way out of Accra to Takrady. So definitely there was no way. And I asked that if you could wait for me for the next 2 hours, I would be there for representation. They said they could not wait. So this is the kind of rule of law, a government of rule of law that we find ourselves in.
Do you intend to make any complaints?
Hello?
Do you intend to make any complaints?
Oh, no. You know what? You cannot fight government, and we don't intend fighting government. But we can expose the people who tell lies. We can expose them. And it is our duty to put our matter before the court and also expose people who are telling lies. People who try to set us up and people who try to say things. And when you put people who are unintelligent and they are able to put it together, whether they can connect or it will add up. Well, I'm sure that when they put us before the proper court and the date, we will put up a study defense for the nation to see that this is a joke, this is a drama, and the drama will unfold. That the kitchen knife coup d'etat, people will see that really this is the actual fact.
Mr. Daudu, as you said earlier, Mr. Gameli is a military officer. Has he been taken through the processes required for a military officer to be stripped of his ranks before he's tried in a court?
I don't think so. What I only know is that on Monday, he was brought there by some of his superiors, and they said they wanted him at the BNI. He was brought there. He was not alone with another military officer. Whilst we were there, statements were taken. Then they had to give bail. They said no, order from above. They were to remain at the BNI. And they had remained at the BNI till they were taken to court. The military has its own remedy dispensation as to when you are found guilty, how the military treats you before you are handed over to the civil authority. It has been turned upside down. Maybe they have some legal basis for doing that, or some conversion, I'm yet to know. But what I know is that the military takes precedence. You go through the process and go through court-martial, and when they finish review, they hand you over to the civil authorities. But in this one, we are finding it a different, and I can tell you that as the drama unfolds, we will come to understand why things are being done this way.
Have you spoken to your new client?
Oh, Colonel?
Yes.
I was with him yesterday at 5.
I mean, after he was charged.
No. We're not charged. It is this morning they said he's been charged and he's been put before court.
So since he was charged this morning, you've not spoken to him?
No. The good thing is that the court earlier gave an order that every day I should be given some number of time to have conference with my client. So
okay.
I will definitely go to him and find out what actually happened. And I'll also find what actually happened in court. The court records are there. So I'll find out from the court record and we'll respond appropriately.
Thank you very much, Victor Kojoga Adaudu, for joining us. You're still live on JoyNews today. Still to come, opponents of moves by governments to introduce comprehensive sexuality education to public basic schools in Ghana mount strong resistance, indicating the program is a demonic agenda intended to promote homosexuality among children. There's more. There's more after this break. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Executive Secretary for the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, says his outfit accepts public input into the new comprehensive sexuality education subject in the curriculum. Some modules in the subject have caused a stir among the public as parents question why children as young as 4 are taught seemingly sensitive issues. Some even say this points to an agenda to make children accept homosexuality. Here's private legal practitioner Moses Foamwening.
This CSE thing is a classic LGBT strategy, and they started it in the 60s. So it's not that they wanted, they came it by chance. CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education. Question: didn't we have, sexual education in Ghana? This book, which was signed by Professor Opoku Amankwa, a very good friend of mine, very learned person, he starts by introducing and telling us that in Ghana, our own traditional people have a way of training our youth in sexuality. Indeed, the whole aspect of puberty is a way of bringing our children from childhood into adolescence. That's our traditional view. Question: why don't we have, don't we have enough intellectuals in Ghana to sit down and bring out what is our traditional view of how to train our people in sort of a superimposition of the whole concept? And I'll go through some of the things that they push. According to CSE, sexual pleasure is a right. Sexual rights are human rights. Sexual pleasure should be employed by people of all ages, regardless of age. Limiting access to sexual information or sexual services violates a child's sexual rights. More importantly, children should be able to exercise their sexual rights without interference from their parents, guardians, or other adult caregivers. This is a classic LGBT strategy. They've used it in America, in Europe, and in Canada to such an extent that right now in Australia, if you are a homosexual, you've gotten to because of biological problems or hormonal problems, and you want to seek counseling, you can't even get it. That's how bad it is. So, my dear, they come nicely because Africa, we don't have money. So UNESCO has funded something. Oh, we want to improve your education, and that's how they want to do it. We have the facts, we have the details, and if the ministry and the Ghana Education Service didn't know, we will expose them to the knowledge, we'll expose them to the facts so they can take a decision.
Dr. Prince Arma, however, says changes will be made to the subject if the public makes input. He was speaking to me on the Super Morning Show.
In this document, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment who had a representative on the committee that was set up by the National Population Council. The whole idea was, conceptualized from the perspective of the National Council, Population Council in collaboration with Ghana Health Service and the UN. No, it is not the content that we taught in our schools. This is a guideline that has been set to enable anybody who comes to this country, whether it's an NGO or whether it's an institution that engages in reproductive health education, would live within this context, within this framework. And let me make this important. The content of this manual has been subject to a review. And as we speak now, the Ghana Education Service recently wrote a letter to us at NACA, which I have responded that letter accordingly. And in the letter, the Ghana Education Service said that if they would accept this document, then there are some aspects of the objectives of the guidelines be amended. And so they quoted that side, and I wrote a letter to them. So even as at now, there are still areas that probably, if anybody has an issue with, we could, relook at.
Now, the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, has joined calls for Ghana to implement the Affirmative Action Bill. The bill, when passed into law, will require government to ensure equitable gender representation at all levels of governance and decision-making in the country, as well as address other social and economic imbalances. Country representative of the UNFPA in Ghana, Nii Ojolape, believes the law will result in automatic development since women remain an integral part of the nation's population. He spoke to JoyNews' PSA Safo on the sidelines of consultation efforts towards International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD.
In Parliament to help us to ensure that the Affirmative Action Bill is implemented to the full. There are a lot of things that are in there. I can tell you that if we have a high percentage of implementation, it will automatically result in development for the entire country. You see, the crusade for gender equality and equity and what have you is actually there are developmental imperatives. So when you develop a woman, when you allow a woman to have a rightful place in the society and do what is appropriate in the society, you are automatically providing a space for the development of the country, because the society at the end of the day gets better, is better for it. So that's why we think it's important for Parliament, not just Parliament, the executive, everybody, they have their own roles to play. But then we need to have the law and make sure that the law is there and everybody has to implement it in the way in which it is designed.
Now, responding to claims of bias in the bill, Nii Ojolape asserts it's the only realistic way to achieve full equity for women in the country. He further proposed that the bill captured youth participation.
Under normal circumstances, one would assume that this type of things should happen naturally. But the way we're going, if we don't take an affirmative action, in order for it to happen, we might never get there, because things are entrenched in such a way that men have the natural advantage. And the only way to achieve equity is to be biased towards the women, so that over time you can have things come back. And that's why I'll support that to say, let us reserve a particular quota. In some parts of the world, it has been done and it's better for them. So we can have that. We should be able to do that. But even beyond that of women, I think we should also have that of young people. We should be able to have some ratio or from a certain percentage of positions that are reserved for young people, either in the Parliament or within governmental sector. So in the way, because you want the energy of the woman to kick in into national development. In the same manner, you also want the innovation, the energy, and the panache of the young people.
Now, players in the local timber industry want expedited action in implementation of the wood tracking system policy. The system, meant to reduce human contact in the lumber business, will eliminate extortion and corruption in order to eliminate illegal lumbering. At a stakeholders engagement in Kumasi as part of the Green Livelihoods Alliance program by local NGO Tropinbo Ghana, the local timber traders expressed worry in government's lackadaisical approach to implementing such a sensitive program to secure the remaining forests in Ghana. Nana Sentumenta has more in this report.
The National Wood Tracking System is a sub-component of the Ghana Timber Legality Assurance System. Its implementation seeks to control timber flows throughout the supply chain and ensure legal sourcing of products. At a public forum in Kumasi, interest groups described government approach as lackadaisical. Kofi Afreboache is spokesperson.
So for the wood tracking system, it's a very good concept because it basically takes away the human element in forestry documentations. So it will be very good for us if it is expedited, especially at domestic market front, where industry will have part to play in uploading their own information. The problem is that the wood tracking system makes matters very easy. It takes away the human interface. You understand? Everything is uploading the hand device. If it is not there, then it means a human element will come in. And we know of all the varieties of human element when it comes to matters like this.
Verification and audit manager at the Timber Validation Department, Forestry Commission, Dr. Emmanuel Jima, attempted some explanation.
The wood tracking system under development by the Forestry Commission and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is at its final stage of rollout. In fact, we are actually implementing it, but we've not announced it nationally. But we have even issued dummy licenses to confirm that the system is working well. All that we need to do is that we have to do a final sensitization of all the trade associations for them to know that it's up and running. Hopefully, by early next year, or even before the year ends, we'll see it in full implementation. But on the ground, the Forestry Commission is using the wood tracking system, and the timber companies can attest to that they are also following it. We want to get to the stage where we'll even allow the timber companies also to have access to the wood tracking system so that for themselves they can also track what is going on. So this is the stage at which we are now.
Discussion also focused on ways to address compliance challenges in the forestry industry. Local NGO Trepembos Ghana organized the session as part of Green Livelihood Alliance program. Mercy Osuansan is director.
Okay, so we have noticed over the years that there are several infractions within the timber sector, and this is contributing to deforestation and then forest degradation. But we also realize that the timber sector is also plagued with a lot of challenges, and we wanted to bring the stakeholders, like the timber sector and then the Forestry Commission, together to dialogue on some of these challenges that we have identified through a study, so that we reach a common agreement on what to do and then what not to do and how to support each other, so that we all achieve the common goal of sustaining our forest resources for the future generation.
For JoyNews, Nana Asansumensa, Kumasi.
Coming up in business, Ghana signs €16 million financing agreement with German Development Corporation to finalize process of becoming member of African Trade Insurance Agency. Emmanuel Abuajiriafi will join us shortly with details.